Hello, my wonderful Ashwings, and welcome back to another installment of the Silver Age A to Z series. Today, we are going to take a look at everyone's, probably most people's favorite warrior, and at least the original warrior of Flesh and Blood, being Dorinthea. Now, Dorinthea can play many different ways, and deciding which one I wanted to showcase on the channel in regards to what she should be doing in Silver Age was a little difficult. But effectively, what I wanted to end up happening is just kind of sticking to the roots of the hero and playing something that she's very familiar with, which is a Dawnblade build. Now, if you don't know who Dorinthea is a 20 health warrior. Just says once per turn effect, when your weapon attack hits, you may attack an additional time with that weapon this turn. Now, for anybody who's new to the game and does not quite understand the action point economy of Flesh and Blood yet, this does not mean that you get go again on your weapon. Usually, weapons will say something along the lines of what Dawnblade does, which says once per turn action, you can pay a resource to attack. If your Dawnblade hits and you're playing Dorinthea then says, this essentially says twice per turn action. But Dawnblade itself does not have the go again keyword on it. So you don't get to do another thing if you swing with Dawnblade and don't give go again. So a lot of this deck is based around giving Dawnblade go again, giving it some power in the back end there too, and then just really being able to threaten some damage to your opponent and kind of stack up these counters. Because if you don't know what Dawnblade does, you can pay 1 to attack. If it hits and it's the second time it's hit this turn, put a +1 counter on Dawnblade. And then if you did not hit at all at your end phase, you go ahead and you remove those counters. So it incentivizes you to keep swinging this weapon and keep trying to overpower your opponent and send a bunch of damage to them through Dawnblade, kind of stacking these counters up. Sometimes you don't get a counter, but even if you just hit once, you still get to keep the counter. So that's always the plan there. We're also going to be running the Blade back in our helmet, the Blossom of Spring for an additional free resource. We have the Gallantry Gold as well, and then the Refraction Bolters. Refraction Bolters are pretty key in this one because sometimes you don't have go again, and if you swing with your weapon and it hits, you can destroy Refraction Bolters to give a go again. But now moving into the main deck, you're going to see a lot of this is going to be kind of finding ways to get ourselves go again, as well as pumping up our attack in the reaction step. So we are running both the red and the yellow copies of Agile Engagement. Most people are going to be blocking, and if they're blocking with attack action cards, you're going to get an agility token. But worst case scenario, this is just +3 power. You don't have to have any kind of condition for you to get this kind of power. So if you're trying to end the game and you need 3 damage over the top and your opponent doesn't have a D-react, that's value for you. We have Engaged Swift Blades, a very interesting one because it's a pump. And if your opponent blocks with an attack action, it will get go again. So in a way, we're trying to threaten cards out of our opponent's hand, or they just take 6 damage, which is quite a lot. It might even be more later on in the game. So quite a lot of damage to get through, and I do think it's a pretty solid card into the matchups. We are playing In the Swing red. This one here is kind of interesting just because you normally don't end up actually getting the full value out of this one here. You have to swing 2 times in order for this to get the pump. So you're only ever going to be swinging this on your second sword swing. But a 0-cost pump in the second swing to try and get you that additional resource or that additional +1 counter might not be bad. And so having this on board is always a fine thing to have. We do have Iron Song Response red and blue. This is just very simple because it costs 0. It's a great reaction to pump up if your opponent tries blocking, so you can kind of sneak some damage through. There's also Lead with Speed. This is a way for you to get an agility token, which pops at the beginning of your turn and then gives your next attack go again. So we want to kind of try and set up those big turns so that way we don't have to worry about getting go again on our own turn. Out for Blood, just great pump. If you're planning on attacking twice, you're going to want to use this on the first weapon swing. That way, if they blocked with a card from hand, you get the reprise ability to then go about getting your next weapon attack +1 as well. We have Puncture, very great for those blocking armor builds, and also getting, just additional +3 in the reaction step is good. We have Sharpened Steel, 0 cost, 3 pump in the beginning. We have Stroke of Foresight, very powerful. It allows us to kind of filter our hand. Let's say maybe we don't have the, we're looking for a 0 cost reaction off the top of our deck to try to pump more damage. And in order to do so, we need to take the card from our hand that we have left that we may have put into Arsenal into the onto the top of our deck to then draw a new card. So Stroke of Foresight is pretty interesting. You kind of have to have like a sixth sense for that kind of stuff, but it is at least a +3 power attack or reaction. We are playing Take It on the Chin. This is just a great instant speed ability to say prevent that damage, get a agility counter. So would love to see that. Take It on the Chin. This is just a really great instant speed ability that just says prevent the next 2 damage if you do create an agility token. So great to use on the defensive to then set us up for a good turn. We have Warrior's Valor red and yellow. We are running both of these just because it is a great way to kind of threaten go again, because if your opponent just lets it hit, you get go again. If they don't let it hit, you have the ability to then use reprise effects to pump up your attack. We do have Goblet of Blood Run Wine. This is, again, a great way to set up a Vigor and Agility token. If you're going first and you happen to get this in your hand, awesome. Great way to start it out. Hit and Run, another way to give your weapons go again. You can play the hit and run. Your first attack will get go again, but you won't get the pump on the second one here. So just keep that in mind. Nip at the Heels is actually a very interesting one because your weapon always has base 3. So this is always a +1 in reactions, and it costs 0 and it blocks for 3. And it's a blue, which is what we like to see do. Overpower is kind of your more popular blue pump. Usually only ever used in the late game because that's when you have more blues in your deck. But Overpower is pretty good considering because you pay 3, it comes in and gives you +4 on your weapon. So you have a lot of value in just being able to go, okay, cool, send 4 over. Most people only block for 3 over. This way you get to send 4 over and still threaten it on hit. Precision Press, again, great way to give go again to your attacks, and also Piercing, which is pretty good. I thought about running the reds in here, but I think the blues are just fine because we really want to have a lot of blues there too. And then Trot Along, this is another go again effect that we can have here. This just effectively gives your next attack with 3 or less base go again, so you can play Trot Along. Dawnblade will then get go again because it's got 3 base, so you then get to utilize the rest of your effects on sending damage at your opponent. But that's the main board. Sideboard here is Arcane Polarity for Wizards or Runeblades. We have Battlefront Bastion for anybody who might be on Illusionist for Phantasm effects. And then we also have 3 copies of Steelblade Shunt, 2 red, 1 yellow. This is mainly just because if we're going to be running into maybe these go tall heroes like Azalea or Guardians of any kind, having something like a Steelblade Shunt in there is going to be really powerful because it just costs us 1 resource and it blocks for like 5 in the yellow and 6 in red. It can block out a full Sledge of Anvilheim and ping them for 1 damage, so pretty powerful, but definitely not main board related. And then we do have AB3 because we do have enough blues in the deck to where AB3 makes sense, and also we don't want to die to Wizard, so that's kind of a big thing. But anyway, let's go ahead and send Dorinthea into the Silver Age queue and kind of see how she performs with her Dawnblade build. Before we move into gameplay, I wanted to give a shout out to my channel members for the support they provide. Each channel member is provided with their own role in our Discord server, as well as access to the Common Language Podcast livestream every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. With 3 tiers of membership, copper, silver, and gold, you can choose to support my channel in any way you wish at a reasonable price point. Supporting this channel by being a channel member helps keep the lights on, keeps your favorite content creator fed, and of course, allows for me to offer more to you all as a thank you for your continued support. There is a link in the description of this video to become a channel member, and if you choose to support the channel this way, just know that it does truly mean the world to me that you are willing to do that. Don't feel pressured though. Even just subscribing and interacting with my content helps. So thank you again to our channel members for your support, And back to the video. All right, looks like we're getting paired into a Zen. It's like I'm going to go ahead and go first, so we'll just do a little setup turn here. Get them all set up. I think for Zen, we don't really need a whole lot of this stuff. Like, I think like maybe some shunts would be kind of funny, but I think we're probably okay with what we've got. Zen's not really going to want to block. And also they kind of more than likely block poorly, especially if they have all like chi in their hand. So we're going to just set ourselves up with a turn. We're going to play a little lead with speed, pitch. And then I'm just going to send a Dawnblade for 6. Depending what they give us, we could very well try for another thing, but yeah, I think we're just going to take the 2 cards. Probably Arsenal this Take It on the Chin. And then get ourselves set up. We might not need to use the Take It on the Chin here just because we are going to get an agility. So we don't want to like double up on the agility. Not a whole lot of reactions in our hand right now, though, which does kind of suck. But we'll see. We'll see what our opponent sends over. There's a lot of reds they're playing for it being a Zen deck. They're going to get a +3 on their Crouching Tiger, plus probably another 1 from Kakara. Yep, that sounds right. I'm going to say no blocks here on this. Just in case they're on some kind of Scarf or a Scar plan. Sure, we're kind of keeping ourselves low. This is a Tiger for 4. I think I will give them a... I'll give them a Yellow Warrior's Valor. That's fine. We kind of want to keep the Goblet, and we want to keep the Sharpened Steel. If there are 2 things we end up keeping here. All right, this is for 4. Let's just block a little bit more here. Perfect. Keep them on the end of the turn. They leak 4 damage through. It's not terrible. Our thing is pretty much just going to be send a Sharpened Steel. Then we are going to swing. Now they'll probably block with equipment here, if I were to guess. Yep. You block with all 3 pieces, and then you get your Strides effect, which gets you a card in hand. Cool. And you get to swing again. We're going to get the counter because they're not going to want to keep their hand because that's probably a kill hand here. So I'm going to go out of my way to say that I don't think that I think we're probably going to end this next turn at below 10 life. But we'll see. We'll see if we get to keep our Dawnblade counter here. So effectively now this gets to come in for 4 every single time. And all I need to do is to have it hit. And we get the counter there. So this is for 3. It's not really an on hit. But I probably should just start preventing damage because they are going to be probably hurting us a lot here. So let's just give a precision press to block out some damage. Really, the only thing we need to keep in this hand, because we are going to play a Take It on the Chin, is Out for Blood and Trot Along. Those are the 2 I'd like to keep, so I can give 2 cards, 3 pieces of armor here, and we're in a pretty okay spot. Okay, Tiger for 1. I can take a Tiger for 1. That's not the end of the world. Okay, double Chi. So they're probably going to either get a Pouncing Key or they're going to get a Key Unleashed. If I were to guess. Did give this +1, so it's coming in for 2. Still not the end of the world, that's fine. Taking somewhere between 2 to 1 points of damage, I'm not really worried about here. Guess we could theoretically have played Take It on the Chin, but I want to wait for like an on hit that's going to actually matter. Growl again. I think we might just give the armor. No, let's not give the armor here. I'm fine taking 3. So now there's +1 on the next tiger. They're getting 100 wins. They still have a chi in hand. Tiger for 1. Fine taking 1. $100 wins for 1. I'll just block 1 here. It's 100 wins for 4. 4. They have no floats. They can get a resource, so it's not going to be pouncing key. So we just do this, and then we play a take it on the chin. You get an arsenal. Cool. All right, so pretty easy turn here. I think I'm going to go ahead and break our chess piece here, or our arms piece, just so I can threaten more. I'm going to send in the Dawnblade, because now we have more resources to work with because we got to keep a blue. So I'm going to put a combo card back in their deck. I will, I probably could have pumped there, actually. That probably would have been the more important thing to do. But that's okay. Let's just send it here. Because now we can pump it to 8. And really kind of keep them on the back foot. Oh, they also didn't block with the card from hand. So I wouldn't have gotten the reprise ability. So I guess worst case scenario, I just don't use it here, but I should threaten. I should threaten. No. I want to keep this in Arsenal. That's fine. I will not. See, unfortunately, we don't have things like Twinning Blade, so we can't swing with our weapon again. But we do now have 2 Dawnblade counters, which means this swings in for 5 every single turn, which is lethal for them. So we essentially just need to keep a blue in our hand, and we're golden, because we can just blue into this and keep them on stuff. So they do have another chi in hand, I'm pretty sure, so they're able to send some damage. I think we're just going to go ahead and give them the puncture here. Okay. 2 chi in hand again. Did I maybe miss them going through the other chi? So double chi in hand, it doesn't feel as good in here as it does in something else. Okay, getting the 3. I think we'll just probably give a hit and run here. Take Tim and Carl. I'll just give them the piece of armor. Take 1. So they haven't activated Zen yet, which is kind of interesting to me, but like they probably should have popped the shoot. Well, I guess Zen get a tiger, pop the Shuko, have the tiger come in for 2, and then play a pouncing key, but like you don't have the resources. Maybe you do have the resources. Yeah, duh. Blood Scent. What am I talking about? Okay, so that means that we can just take 2 here, then 7 will come in, and then we can just block 3 and then kill them. Because this is for 6 or for 5, so you have to give me at least 1 card. I can then pump it and then Refraction Bolters to send it again. I think we'll be in an okay spot. I'm fingers crossed we're taking the risks that we need here. Yep. So we send the Out for Blood. This is why we don't really want to pop Refraction Bolters too early. But we are still threatening 5, and 5 we'll probably get. And that's game. Good stuff. So that's effectively the the deck here, it works really well in this against like ninjas and stuff, because ninjas don't really want to block. And when ninjas don't want to block, you get full value off of just getting a bunch of Dawnblade counters. It's kind of about being a little bit more patient, just making sure that your lines are correct and you're not wasting your resources too early. You know, we didn't even need to pop our chess piece, and we didn't block with all of our stuff on something that wasn't like a more powerful on hit effectively. But just keeping everything nice and close together, I think worked out pretty well. Not using the take it on the chin, making sure the agility turns were well sorted out. And then, of course, I think this is just one of those decks that like Dawnblade Dorinthea just kind of like does really well into, just because A, your opponent probably has cards that don't block in their hand, and B, oh, also, if you didn't notice, this must be a new player maybe, because they put an inner chi in their arsenal, which is not good. Pro tip to everybody who's playing a Mystic hero: do not put a inner chi in your arsenal ever. You cannot get this out of your arsenal unless your opponent blows it up, or unless you have a way to get it out of your arsenal, like, you know, something to filter your arsenal. So that probably ruined them for their future turns and stuff here. But I think at least like showcasing kind of what Dory can do. Again, we threaten very minimalistic amounts of damage, but that does stack over time. Because again, you know, for instance, this turn would have been send 5 and then pump it to 8 when they block with a card from hand. And then if it hits, destroy Refraction Bolters, give it go again, use your last resource to send 5 again. When that 5 hits, you then get another counter on here, and now Dawnblade is swinging for 6, which is now above rate because you're paying 1 resource for 6 damage. And effectively, the rest of the game, you just need to keep that up until eventually you win. It's harder to do in some other decks that block really well, but into decks that don't really care to block, you do get some pretty good incremental value, just because most of your cards block for 3. And also you have a pretty good equipment suite to kind of give a little bit more power there. But that's the deck. If you did enjoy today's episode on Dory, please make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below letting me know how you feel about Dorinthea and kind of how she plays. If you have any tips or tricks or other ways you like Dorinthea played, feel free to let me know. I'd be more than happy to try them out. And then, of course, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel as well if you have not already. And of course, if you wish to become a channel member, it certainly helps out a lot. Description down below for that. But otherwise, I hope you all continue to have fun in the flesh and blood. And I will see all of you beautiful Ashwings in our next installment of the Silver Age A to Z series.